I baked a cake for my son's birthday, but his wife said, "We don't eat your food." That one sentence changed everything for me. It's strange how some words can feel like knives. Even when spoken softly, I still remember that morning clearly. The smell of vanilla and sugar filling my little kitchen. My hands shaking slightly as I decorated the cake. It wasn't fancy, just a simple chocolate cake. The kind I used to bake when my son was small. Back then, he would lick the frosting off the spoon, laugh with his mouth covered in chocolate, and say, "Mom, your cake is the best in the world." That memory was what pushed me to bake again that morning. I wanted to feel close to him, even though he had grown, married, and moved away. I thought maybe, just maybe, some things never change. I had been planning this for weeks. I even saved some money to buy the best ingredients. I wrapped the cake in a white box, tied a red ribbon around it, and placed a small note on top that said, "Happy birthday, my son. Love, Mom." When I reached their house, I felt nervous but happy. I imagined him smiling when he saw me. I imagined his wife, maybe a bit surprised but welcoming. I imagined us sitting together, maybe laughing about old times. I imagined too much, I guess. When I knocked on the door, it wasn't my son who opened it. It was her, his wife. She looked surprised, but not the kind of surprise that comes with joy. She looked uncomfortable, like I had shown up when I shouldn't have. "Hi," I said, smiling. "I just came to wish him a happy birthday. I baked his favorite cake." She looked down at the box in my hands, then back at me, her lips pressed together. She didn't invite me in. She just said, "Oh, well, he's busy right now." My smile started to fade. "That's all right," I said. "I can wait. I just wanted to see him, even for a minute." She sighed, then said something I will never forget. "You really shouldn't have brought that, you know. We don't eat your food." At first, I thought I misheard her. I blinked and said softly, "I'm sorry." She repeated it, slower this time. "We don't eat your food." There was silence, the kind that hurts more than shouting ever could. I looked down at the cake box in my hands, still warm from the oven. My throat tightened. I wanted to ask why. What did she mean? Had I done something wrong? Did she think I wasn't clean? Did she just not want me there? But no words came out. Before I could say anything, my son came to the door. He looked surprised to see me. "Mom?" he said. "You didn't tell me you were coming." I smiled weakly. "I wanted to surprise you. I made your favorite cake." He looked at his wife, then at me. Something passed between them. A look, the kind that tells you everything without a word. He didn't reach for the cake. He didn't hug me. He just said, "Thanks, Mom. But you didn't have to." And just like that, the moment I had imagined all morning was gone. I stood there holding the cake like a fool, feeling smaller by the second. His wife said she had to get back to preparing for their guests. And my son said, "We'll call you later, okay?" But I knew they wouldn't. I turned around and walked back to my car. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the cake. When I sat inside, I placed the box on the seat beside me and just stared at it. I don't know how long I sat there. I wanted to cry, but no tears came. It was like I was too tired to cry anymore. I drove back home slowly, my heart heavy. The roads looked blurry through my tired eyes. When I reached home, I placed the cake on the table. The house was quiet like it always is. Too quiet. I made a cup of tea and sat beside the cake. I looked at it. The smooth chocolate frosting, the little sprinkles I'd added just for him. I thought of how much love I had put into it, and how easily it was rejected. Later that night, I wrapped the cake and placed it in the fridge. I couldn't bring myself to throw it away. The next morning, I cut a slice and had it with my tea. It didn't taste sweet anymore. Days passed, and my son didn't call. I told myself he must be busy, but deep down, I knew something had changed between us. His wife didn't like me. I could feel it every time I visited. She always made me feel like I was unwanted, like I didn't belong in my own son's life anymore. I kept trying, though. I would send small gifts for birthdays, messages on special days. Just small reminders that I was still here. Sometimes he replied, most times he didn't. A few weeks after the birthday, I met one of my old neighbors at the store. She said, "Oh, I saw the pictures from your son's birthday online. Looked like a lovely party." My heart sank. He had a big celebration, and I wasn't invited, not even mentioned. I smiled at her and said, "Yes, it looked beautiful." But when I got home, I couldn't hold back anymore. I cried, not because of the party, but because of the truth. I wasn't a part of his world anymore. That night, I sat in my living room and looked around at the photos of him as a child. His old toys I still kept. The little handprint painting he made in kindergarten that said, "I love you, Mom." I ran my fingers over the dried paint and whispered, "Do you still?" It hurt. But somewhere inside me, I knew I had to stop chasing what didn't want to be held anymore. A few months later, he called. It was short. He said, "Hi, Mom. Sorry, I've been busy." I told him it was okay, that I understood. I didn't tell him how many nights I waited for that call. Before we hung up, he said, "We should visit sometime." I smiled, though I knew it wouldn't happen soon. After that, I started baking again. Not for him, but for myself. I gave cakes to my neighbors, to children down the street, to people who smiled when they saw me. It made me feel a little less alone. And slowly something changed in me. I realized that sometimes love means letting go. Not because you stop caring, but because holding on hurts too much. One evening, as I was closing the window, I saw a little boy next door watching me. I smiled and waved. The next day, I baked a small cake and gave it to him. His eyes lit up as he said, "Thank you, ma'am." That small moment filled the emptiness I'd been carrying. I realized love doesn't disappear. It just finds new places to live. Months passed. Then one day I got a call from my son. His voice was softer this time. He said, "Mom, I'm sorry about before." I didn't ask what he was sorry for. I just said, "It's all right, son." He paused, then said, "Can we come visit you this weekend?" For a second, I didn't know what to say. My heart raced. "Of course," I said. "I'll bake your favorite cake." When I hung up, I sat there quietly for a long time. I didn't know what to expect. Whether his wife would still look at me the same way, or if things would be different this time. But I knew one thing. I was ready to forgive, not for them, but for my own peace. That weekend, when they came, his wife was polite. Distant, but polite. My son hugged me for the first time in a long while. I served them tea and, of course, the cake. I watched carefully as his wife took a small bite. She smiled faintly and said, "It's good." It wasn't much, but it was something. A tiny step. When they left that evening, I stood at the door and waved. My son turned back and said, "Love you, Mom." For the first time in years, I believed he meant it. After they drove away, I sat with my empty cup of tea and smiled. Sometimes love circles back, sometimes it doesn't. But what matters is that we keep loving anyway. Because love, real love, doesn't need to be returned. It just needs to be true. And maybe that's what healing really is. Not forgetting the pain, but learning to live with it gently. So, if you're watching this and you've ever felt unwanted, unappreciated, or left out by your own family, please know you are not alone. Some of us love quietly, from a distance. Some of us heal in silence. And that's okay, because sometimes the quiet hearts are the strongest ones. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps me keep sharing these stories. For all the hearts that learned to heal quietly.